My girlfriend said, "I'm not coming to your brother's funeral. I barely knew him, and it's depressing." I said, "I understand." Then I went alone, gave the eulogy, and never contacted her again. When she texted 2 days later asking, "Are we still on for dinner?" 31 male, work as a building inspector for the county. I review permits, check code compliance, crawl into attics and basements to make sure nobody's going to electrocute themselves. It's steady, it's predictable, and it pays about $67,000 a year. I tell you this, so you know I'm not some guy who makes dramatic decisions. My entire career is based on following rules, checking boxes, and documenting things. That's my personality. Methodical, patient, boring, if you want to be honest about it. My brother was 27 when he died. Car accident. A Tuesday morning, 7:40 a.m., on his way to work. Another driver ran a red light. My brother's car took the impact on the driver's side. He was pronounced dead at the hospital 40 minutes later. I got the call from my mom at 8:15 a.m. while I was reviewing a permit application for a residential deck. I'm not going to describe what that phone call felt like because I don't have the words for it even now, and I don't think I ever will. My brother was 4 years younger than me. I taught him to ride a bike. I helped him move into his first apartment. He called me every Sunday evening just to talk, even when there was nothing to talk about, because he said Sundays were boring without someone to complain about Mondays to. He was the best person I knew, not in the way people always say about the dead. I mean, objectively, measurably, he was a better human than most people I've ever met. He volunteered at a food bank on Saturdays. He remembered everyone's birthday. He once drove 2 hours in a snowstorm to help a co-worker who'd broken down on the highway. He was the kind of person you build a life around, not the kind you lose on a Tuesday. I need to get to the girlfriend part. I know. Just give me a second with my brother. Okay, my girlfriend and I had been together for 14 months. She works in marketing for a mid-sized tech company. Makes around $78,000. She's smart. She's social. She's the kind of person who always has plans. Brunch Saturday, drinks Friday, a concert next Thursday, a friend's birthday in 2 weeks. Her calendar was color-coded, and her weekends were booked 3 weeks out. She operated on a schedule, and disruptions to that schedule were treated like personal attacks. I noticed this pattern early. If I had to cancel dinner because a job ran late, she'd be annoyed for the rest of the evening. If I forgot about a plan she'd made, she'd bring it up for days. If I suggested staying in instead of going out, she'd say I was wasting the weekend. I wrote it off as us being different. I'm a homebody. She's a planner. Opposites attract, or whatever. My brother met her 3 times. Once at a family barbecue, where she spent most of the time on her phone. Once at a dinner where she left early because she had a thing. And once at my birthday party, where my brother pulled me aside and said, "Hey man, is she always this scheduled?" I told him she was just organized. He gave me a look, this very specific look he had where one eyebrow went up and his mouth did nothing, and said, "Okay." That was it. That was the last thing my brother ever said to me about her, and it turns out it was enough. My brother died on a Tuesday. The funeral was set for Saturday. For days to plan a service, write a eulogy, help my mom function, coordinate with the funeral home, deal with flowers and logistics, and the specific kind of paperwork that comes with someone dying suddenly. I took bereavement leave from work. 3 days, which isn't enough. Nothing would be enough. I told my girlfriend on Tuesday evening. I called her from my parents' house where I'd been all day. My voice was wrecked. I told her what happened. She said, "Oh my God, babe, I'm so sorry." She asked if I needed anything. I said I just needed to get through the week. She said she understood. Wednesday, she texted me to check in. Sweet message. Thinking of you. Let me know if you need anything. I appreciated it. Thursday, she asked about the funeral details, when, where, what to wear. I told her Saturday at 11 a.m., the funeral home, dark colors. She said, "Got it." Friday evening, the night before the funeral, she called me. I was at my parents' house, sitting at the kitchen table, trying to finish the eulogy. My mom was asleep on the couch, medicated. My dad was in the garage because that's where my dad goes when he doesn't know what to do with his hands. My girlfriend said, "So about tomorrow?" I said, "Yeah. I've been thinking about it, and I'm not going to come." I didn't say anything for a few seconds. She filled the silence. I barely knew him. I met him like 3 times. And honestly, funerals are just really depressing, and I don't do well in that kind of environment. It triggers my anxiety. I'd rather be there for you after, when you actually need support. Like, we can do dinner Sunday. I'll make a reservation somewhere nice. You'll need to pick me up. She said the word depressing about my brother's funeral. My brother, who was 27 and dead because someone ran a red light. I sat at that kitchen table, looking at the half-written eulogy in front of me, and I said, I understand. She said, you're not mad? I said, no. She said, okay, good. I just didn't want it to be a thing. Call me when you're done tomorrow, and we'll make plans. Love you. I said bye. I hung up. I finished the eulogy. I didn't cry while I wrote it, because I'd run out of tears by Thursday, and the human body only has so much to give. I went to bed on the floor of my childhood bedroom because my mom was in my old bed and I wasn't going to move her. Saturday morning, the funeral. I put on a dark suit. I drove my mom and dad. We got there early. People started showing up. My brother's co-workers, his friend from college, his food bank volunteer crew. 11 of them came, all wearing little pins from the organization. His best friend flew in from across the country on 18 hours' notice. My cousin drove 4 hours. People came. My girlfriend did not come. I gave the eulogy. I talked about the bike riding lessons and the Sunday phone calls and the snowstorm drive. I talked about how he remembered everyone's birthday and how he'd text you at exactly midnight. I talked about the look, the one eyebrow thing, and half the room laughed through their tears because everybody knew that look. I held it together until the last paragraph, and then I didn't, and my dad came up and put his hand on my shoulder, and I finished. After the service, my brother's best friend hugged me and said, "Where's your girlfriend?" I said she couldn't make it. He gave me the one eyebrow look, my brother's look, I swear to God, same exact expression, and said couldn't. I didn't answer. We went to my parents' house for the reception. I stayed until 9 p.m. Drove home, walked into my empty apartment, sat on the couch in my suit, looked at my phone. No text from her. Not "how did it go?" Not "thinking of you." Not "I'm sorry I couldn't be there." Nothing. She'd posted an Instagram story at 3 p.m., a latte, and a book at what looked like a coffee shop, captioned "Me Time Whiteheart." At 3 p.m., while I was at my parents' house surrounded by people mourning my brother. I put my phone face down on the coffee table. I took off my suit. I went to bed. Sunday morning, 10:14 a.m. The text. Hey babe, are we still on for dinner tonight? I found this amazing new Thai place that has insane reviews. 7 p.m. I stared at it. The exclamation points. The insane reviews. The 7 p.m. like it was any other Sunday and not the day after I buried my brother. I didn't respond. Not that hour. Not that day. Not ever. Update 1, 9 days later. So a lot of people in the comments are saying I should have told her we were done instead of just going silent. I hear you. But let me explain where my head was at. The week after the funeral, I was barely functional. I went back to work on Wednesday because I'd used my 3 bereavement days and couldn't afford to take unpaid leave. I sat at my desk and reviewed permits and crawled into basements and did my job while carrying around a weight in my chest that made everything feel like it was happening underwater. I wasn't strategizing a breakup. I wasn't plotting revenge. I was just surviving. I didn't text her back Sunday, or Monday, or Tuesday. She texted me Monday afternoon. Hey, you alive? You never answered about dinner. She texted Tuesday morning. Starting to get a little worried. Can you at least text me back? Tuesday evening. Okay, seriously, are you ignoring me? This isn't funny. Wednesday, she called. I declined it. She called again. Declined. She left a voicemail that said, I don't know what's going on with you, but the silent treatment is really immature. I understand you're going through something, but shutting me out isn't okay. Call me back. Going through something. She described the death of my brother as something, like a bad day at work, like a traffic ticket. Thursday, 5 days of silence. She sent a long text. The gist, she was hurt that I was pulling away during a time when we should be leaning on each other. She said she'd been giving me space, but that my silence was emotionally abusive and that she deserved better than to be ghosted by her own boyfriend. Emotionally abusive for not texting her back the week my brother died, because she didn't come to the funeral, because it was depressing, I almost responded to that one. Almost. My thumb was hovering over the keyboard. But then I thought about what I would even say. What combination of words could possibly convey the absolute devastation of having your brother die, burying him without the person who's supposed to be your partner, and then being called emotionally abusive for not making a dinner reservation 5 days later? There aren't words for that. So I continued saying nothing. Friday, day 6, her best friend texted me. Someone I met a handful of times at group outings. She said, "Hey, I know things are complicated, but she's really struggling with the silence. Can you at least let her know where you stand? She thinks you're breaking up with her." I texted back, "I am." Her friend said, "Wait, seriously? Over what?" I said, "She knows." Her friend said, "She says she doesn't know what she did wrong." That sentence sat in my chest like a stone. She doesn't know what she did wrong. She genuinely, authentically does not understand that refusing to attend your boyfriend's brother's funeral is relationship ending. It's not even on her radar as a significant event. In her mind, she made a reasonable personal choice about an uncomfortable social obligation, and now her boyfriend is being dramatic about it. That's when I understood something about her that I should have understood a long time ago. She wasn't being cruel. She was being herself. This is who she is. She is a person who fundamentally cannot prioritize another person's pain over her own comfort. It's not malice. It's something worse. It's architecture. She's built that way, and she doesn't even see it. I didn't respond to her friend after that. I blocked my ex's number. Not dramatically, not with a speech. Just went into settings, blocked, moved on. Saturday, exactly 1 week after the funeral, she showed up at my apartment, knocked on the door. I looked through the peephole, saw who it was, and didn't open it. She knocked for about 3 minutes. Then she said through the door, "I know you're in there. Your truck is in the lot. Can you please just talk to me?" I said, through the door, "We're done. I need you to leave." Done? Over what? Because I didn't go to a funeral? I told you funerals give me anxiety. My brother's funeral. I know whose funeral it was. I'm saying you can't end a relationship because someone has a boundary around grief events. That's my mental health. I said nothing. She waited. Then she said something I'll remember for a very long time. She said, "You're making this way bigger than it needs to be. People die. It's sad, but you can't expect everyone to drop everything and sit in a sad room for 3 hours just because you're upset. People die. It's sad." I heard her walk away about 30 seconds after that. I sat on the floor behind my front door for maybe 20 minutes. Then I got up, made dinner, and ate it in silence. Update 2, 2 weeks later. Okay, last one. I promised myself I'd write this and be done because I need to stop carrying this publicly and start carrying it privately. After the door conversation, things didn't end the way I expected. I thought she'd be angry for a week and then move on. She's a next thing person, always has plans, always has somewhere to be. I figured I'd become last month's calendar entry within days. Instead, she went to my mom. Let me say that again so you absorb the full weight of it. My ex-girlfriend, the one who didn't attend my brother's funeral because it was depressing, contacted my grieving mother to advocate for our relationship. She found my mom on social media, sent her a DM. I didn't know about this until my mom called me, confused and upset, saying, "Your girlfriend sent me a message saying you're not talking to her, and she's worried about you. She asked if I could talk to you about it." My mom, who buried her youngest son 16 days earlier, was being asked to mediate her oldest son's breakup by the woman who didn't show up to the funeral. I told my mom the truth. All of it. The phone call Friday night. The depressing comment. The no-show Saturday. The me time Instagram story at 3 p.m. The dinner text the next morning. Every detail. My mom was quiet for a long time. Then she said, "She didn't come?" "No, Mom. I had 53 people at that service. Your brother's co-worker who'd known him for 4 months came. The woman from his apartment building who only knew him because he carried her groceries came. That girl from his food bank group who drove 3 hours came. And the woman you've been with for over a year didn't come because it was depressing." That's what she said. My mom doesn't yell. She's never been a yeller. But her voice got very low and very controlled, and she said, "Don't you ever speak to her again. Do you understand me?" I wasn't planning to, Mom. Good. My mom then did something that I didn't ask her to do and couldn't have predicted. She responded to my ex's DM. My mom told me afterward what she wrote. She said, "My son buried his brother, and you chose a latte. You don't get to ask me for help reaching him. Please do not contact this family again. Clean, direct, final. My mom is 5'3", and she will end you without raising her voice." I come on my quiet honestly. My ex did not respond to my mom's message, but she was not done with me. About 4 days after the DM incident, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. I picked up because I sometimes get work calls from unfamiliar numbers. It was her sister, her older sister, who I'd met exactly twice and who had the same scheduled-to-the-minute energy but amplified. Her sister opened with, "I think you owe my sister an explanation at minimum." I said, "I don't owe her anything. She's been crying for 2 weeks. My brother has been dead for 3. Silence. A long one. Then her sister said, "Look, I get that you're in pain, but you can't punish someone for having boundaries. She has every right to decide what events she's comfortable attending. And I have every right to decide who I'm in a relationship with." I decided. You didn't even give her a chance to make it right. What would making it right look like? She can't go back in time and come to the funeral. The eulogy's been given. The reception is over. My dad doesn't have anyone standing next to him in the photos where my brother's girlfriend should be. What exactly is she going to fix? Her sister didn't have an answer for that. She said, "I think you're being really unfair," and hung up. That was the last direct contact attempt. But there was one more thing. About a week later, a mutual friend, the only one I still talk to from our shared social circle, sent me a screenshot. My ex had posted something in a private group chat that this friend was also in. It was a long paragraph about how she was healing from an emotionally withholding relationship and how she'd learned that she needed a partner who wouldn't punish her for prioritizing her mental health. She said I had used grief as a weapon and that she was choosing to release that negative energy. She framed herself as the victim. Of course she did. In her version, she's a woman with healthy boundaries who was unfairly punished by a boyfriend who weaponized his dead brother to control her. In her version, the story makes sense. She's the protagonist. I'm the villain. I didn't screenshot it. I didn't respond. I didn't correct the record in that group chat. Because here's what I learned from giving a eulogy at 31. You don't have to convince everyone. You just have to know the truth and live with it. The people who were at the funeral know. My family knows. My brother's friends know. The 53 people who showed up on a Saturday because my brother mattered to them, they know. And that's enough. The mutual friend who sent me the screenshot said something simple. For what it's worth, nobody in this chat is buying it. I thanked her and left it there. That was about 10 days ago. Things have been quiet since. I don't know what she's doing now, and I don't want to know. I imagine she's still scheduling, still planning, still color-coding her weekends. I imagine she's found a version of this story that she can live with, one where she's not the villain, and I imagine she tells it at brunch with the same confidence she uses for everything else. I'm still going to work, still crawling into basements, still reviewing permits. The routine helps more than I expected. There's something grounding about checking code compliance when nothing else in your life makes sense. I go to my parents' house every Sunday now. My dad and I sit in the garage and don't talk much, which is how we've always communicated best. My mom makes too much food, which is how she's always communicated best. We're all carrying it. My brother's best friend calls me every Sunday evening now. Same time my brother used to call. He said he started doing it by accident, just habit, and then decided to keep doing it on purpose. We don't talk about anything important. Just Mondays being terrible and football picks and whatever else fills a phone call between two people who love the same person. It's not the same. Nothing will be the same. But it's something. I keep my brother's contact in my phone. I haven't deleted it. I know I'll have to eventually, but not yet. Sometimes I open our text thread and scroll through old messages. The last one he sent me, the Saturday before he died, was Sunday call tomorrow. Got a story for you. You're going to lose it face with tears of joy. I never got to hear the story. That's the part that gets me when nothing else does. Not the accident, not the funeral, not the girlfriend. The story I'll never hear. Anyway, that's everything. Thanks for reading this. Go call someone you love. Don't wait for Sunday.